So good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday night meditation program. And this evening is special because we get to be together on New Year's Eve. So happy New Year's Eve. And I know we're all relieved to be done with this year. And so good to be able to celebrate its passing and welcome in the new year, immersed in the infinite, the divine, the safest refuge I know of. I think it's the only refuge I truly know of. So with all my heart and with all my love, I welcome you to tonight's program. And thank you for coming. Thank you for bringing that kind of power of your practice and intention to bring the highest into the world, to know it and walk it into the world. Because that's what, the Anam Cara Meditation Foundation and all that we offer is really aimed at being able to know the divine, the infinite, known by so many names, but to know it as our own self, and then to be able to live that into the world. It's the reason for all the practices, and it's really the power and the joy, the delight that comes through all the practices is that living presence of the infinite. So we get together and have the privilege of each other's company, and I'm so glad you were able to come and join us this evening. So we're going to be starting with the opening mantras. And as you know, the opening mantras are an invocation of our highest nature. And because mantra is a throb of the infinite itself, because mantra is the sound form of the divine, that when we're immersing ourselves in that vibration, that energy, that power of consciousness that has taken the form of mantra, it really helps to transform the mind in ways that ordinary thinking, ordinary insights, contemplation, study, all these things are wonderful. But mantra cuts through in a way that nothing else can. Because mantra arises from the infinite and dissolves back into the infinite. So when the mind joins with mantra, it's joining a vehicle that will take it back to its very source. So we'll do the opening mantras and then just sit for a few moments of stillness at the end, because it's in that stillness that we get to just enjoy the gift that mantra has opened, the spaciousness of knowing, the spaciousness of simply being who you truly are. So we'll begin with the mantras. Shri Kali Devi Ki Jai Gajananam Bhutanganari Sevitam Kapita Jambu Palacharu Bhakshanam Umasutam Shokam Vinashakarakam Namami Vigneshwara Parapankajam Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamandaya Purnamevamashishate Om Shanti 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 Shri Mata Kali Mahadevi Ki Jai. So once again, with all my heart, with all my love, I welcome you to our program tonight. I'm so happy you were able to join us and bring the power of your practices, the power of your presence. You are the very incarnation of the divine herself. And so bringing that to this evening is a gift to all of us. So thank you. Thank you for coming. And this has been a challenging year, to say the least. And these Thursday night satsangs have been so important for being able to have the support of the infinite, the one. Buddha spoke very eloquently about the three jewels and Sangha, a community of like-minded seekers, is one of the three jewels that helps seekers be able to continue on the path. The other two jewels are a set of teachings and practices from the truth, the way, and a teacher. The very source is the highest, and that's the source of the teachings. So when we have those three, we have this steady support beneath us. And so coming together for satsang, keeping the company of the truth, both through the practices and our real true nature, but also in the company of others who embody that as well. And maybe a clearer reflection in the moment than our own mind at times. So we take the support of others and that love to help carry us along. And that's one of the great aspects of Sangha, is that we get to share and uplift one another and share the gifts of the divine that the infinite bestows upon us in meditation and in everyday life. So again, thank you for coming and bringing all that with you. So this evening, is a time where it's New Year's Eve, so we're wrapping up this year, but by being fully present, freedom has to do with being right here, right now. And so I wanted to share some poetry from a variety of mystics like Kabir and Hafiz and others, and one or two that have come from Kali's Bazaar. The book Kali's Bazaar is a collection of poetry that has just arises in meditation, as I wrote in the introduction to that. And so it's called Kali's Bazaar, penned by Kalidas, because it's really Kali's gifts. And Kalidas is another name that I've been given. It means servant of Kali. And so I just do my best to be the scribe, just the simple scribe for what her gifts are. And so this is a good time this evening to share more of those. And there'll be some new ones that nobody's heard yet. But this one is called Now. Now. The end is now. The beginning is now. Bring all your attention to this point. All your attention now. My dear one, everyone enjoys being loved. All beings delight in love coursing through them. All want to be happy. All want to enjoy good health and a long life. All are the loving sons and daughters arising from the same source. Can you harm a son or daughter without piercing the mother and father? In this moment, do you choose to love all sons and all daughters? Are you cultivating the sweet fruit of compassion and kindness for every being? That sublime nectar can be yours right now. See, enough of bitterness, anger, and revenge. What has cultivating these brought to anyone but agony? Agony to mothers and fathers, sons and daughters. Even if it is just for your own pleasure, choose the boundless joy of living with compassion and kindness for all. So a year like this underscores the importance of what are we cultivating? What are we bringing into this world? How are we going to, as we look forward into the next year, what will we help to create in that time of boundless potential? What will we bring forth? This is why sadhana and practices are so important, because each moment is the unfolding of the infinite. Are we going to be present with that? Are we going to bring the gifts of our boundless nature into this moment? And now this moment? And now this moment? And on and on? That's what it means to be fully present. To be fully present. And it comes up so often when we talk about practices. I mean, even remember, I remember Ram Dass's book when I was a young man, Be Here Now. It was all about present awareness. I mean, that's a teaching that goes back thousands of years. Be here now. Now, fully present. But fully present, what does that mean? That means the fullness of presence. The fullness of the divine presence that is your nature. And where is that known? That's known now. That's known here. We don't know the divine's presence tomorrow. That wasn't yesterday. That's a memory. Even if we experienced it yesterday, now it's just a memory. Now, here and now. Come in now. This is the gift of being fully present. Because in the present moment, that's where we can experience the divine presence, the fullness of the infinite. That's the boundless love, the boundless compassion, the boundless patience and kindness. That comes in now. So that's what we're called on. That's what we're called to walk into this world. To be present and fully present means keep walking that in. Even if you're partially present, bring that part of the compassion and love and kindness that you're with in. That's what sadhana is. We keep coming back to that. The practices are all about unfolding that, knowing that, being drenched in that, living that, breathing that, eating that, sleeping that. It's all there is. So even as we seem to be wrapping up one year and starting another one, it can be a time of reflection of how present were we? What did we bring into this moment? What have we given to others? Come home to the self. Come home to the divine. That living presence of God. Then we can know. Then we can know her presence. This is a poem she visited today. See, as I sat in the sweet stillness of simple emptiness, God stopped by. She sat next to me and asked, anything you need to know? I thought, okay, be bold. So I asked my beloved, how do you see us? See, so much is written about how we see you, but more importantly, how do you see us? As she looked at me, tears of love welled up in her eyes. I wonder how long she's been waiting for that question to be asked. She said, oh, my beloved, you are my very self, asking yourself how your beloved self sees herself. See through the eyes of love, she said. All will be clear. All is one. see through the eyes of love. Then you'll see how God sees. That's why the sages and saints have said, God only sees himself. All there is one. You are that one. So we keep coming back to the delight, the love, the exquisite embrace. To rest in the arms of the beloved, to know the truth of who we are, that we're capable of that. That's what it is to be fully human and fully present. That's what we strive for, no? The great 16th century poet saint, Kabir Maharaj, he wrote, how humble is God. See, God is the tree in the forest. That allows itself to die. And will not defend itself in front of those with the axe, not wanting to cause them shame. And God is the earth that will allow herself to be deformed by man's tools. But he cries, yes, God cries, but only in front of his closest ones. And a beautiful animal is being beaten to death. But nothing can make God break his silence to the masses and say, stop, stop. Please stop. Why are you doing this to me? How humble is God? Kabir wept when I knew. God's given us the power to wake up, to see that all is our own self. All is the divine. We're on this path of awakening and maturing and growing into the wisdom of knowing that, where it's not a mere matter of trying to restrain the impulses to hurt others because we think there's another to hurt, but we come home to the truth. There is only one. What we are hurting, what we're exploiting, our own self, the divine. Knowing that transforms everything. So much of the suffering in the world is really just the people flailing about in ignorance, having entered a state of lack and want and emptiness, and then clamoring to fill it with possessions and power and all these things that don't touch that emptiness. It's an insatiable emptiness. There's a story about how Alexander the Great, as he was conquering all the known world back then, reaching towards the east. He had conquered the Middle East and was heading towards India. He was stopped, but he had heard of the wise men from India, the great sages, and so he brought a few back to his court and was speaking with them. And one of the sages held out a bowl, and it was like a begging bowl that you would get water in. And so Alexander the Great had water poured in, but it kept disappearing. Poured more and more and more and more, and the bowl could never be filled. And so Alexander said to the sage, "What is this? What is this? What kind of bowl is this?" And the saint said to him, That is your desires. They are insatiable. Insatiable. You could pour the universe in there. It'll disappear. That's your emptiness. It's given birth to those desires. No matter how many people he dominated, how much wealth he acquired, that emptiness was there. We see that today. We see that today. Now, however, we think we should exalt that. Become billionaires, multi-billionaires, gazillionaires. At what cost? To all those who are deprived of even the bare means to eat and have shelter and be secure. This is how devastating that ignorance is. So we want to have the clarity of vision to see. And to see also through the eyes of compassion. Like the sage looking at Alexander, trying to teach a lesson. What will wake them up to the truth? The best we can offer is to be an embodiment of that ourselves. And walk that into the world. You are a boundless reservoir of love, compassion, kindness, patience. Give of that. That is your true wealth. That's where absolute contentment and stillness rests. Rest in yourself and know that. Delight in that. Revel in that. It's beyond any New Year's celebration. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate the divine. Dancing in every cell of the body. This is the truth. Another great poet saint from the 16th century, a contemporary of Kabir, was a poet saint Mirabai. She was extraordinary. She wrote, "God has a special interest in women, for they can lift this world to their breast and help him comfort." Help him comfort. The divine feminine. That relatedness, that connectedness. To know that in ourselves. To know the love that doesn't merely connect, it dissolves the boundaries between us and others. At a time where divisiveness, anger, hate have been fueled by ignorant leaders, deluded. What's the remedy? Wisdom. Love. The power of those. Walking them into the world with strength. the great poet Saint Hafiz from the Sufi tradition. He wrote, from man's perspective, in this intricate game of love, it is so easy to become confused and think you are the doer. But from God's infinite certainty, he always knows that he is the only one who should ever be put on trial. The divine, the cause of all, the cause of all, the one set it all in motion. The one who makes that knowing available to us so we can step out of that game and find the freedom that arises from our own pure self. It's already there, already fully present. Hafiz also wrote, I rarely let the word no escape from my mouth because it is so plain to my soul that God has shouted, yes, 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 to every luminous movement in existence. All God sees is himself. All the one sees is the one, and celebrates that with great delight. We can know that delight. We can know the state of freedom that comes from resting in that delight. Well, this is one of Devi's recent gifts. The infinite speaks through metaphor and symbol. And it's often been thought that mystics wrote in metaphor and symbol as a way of hiding the teachings. No. It's because ordinary language only refers to solid and concrete things. It's myth and metaphor that point beyond themselves. The infinite is beyond all language, beyond all thought. So poets, mystics, saints, they're always talking in myth and metaphor and symbol as a way to point beyond their words. We can't take them concretely. Otherwise we wind up in the various strains of fundamentalism. Fundamentalism arises from mistakenly taken symbol, metaphor, as something concrete. So this is her gift, called the secret cave. It's almost like a meditation. So if you want to sit back and just listen, you're welcome to do that. The secret cave. As a young man, I heard ancient tales of a secret cave at the bottom of the ocean, where gold and jewels beyond measure lie. Inexplicably, such a longing ignited within me that I moved to the seashore. Now, day after day, I dove deeper and deeper into the ocean. Day after day, I entered the inky blackness where the light of the world fails to reach. At times I returned to the surface, covered in seaweed, looking like an alien creature. And after some years, people no longer recognized me. Though once seen, I could feel the radiance of a hidden treasure as if it were in my heart, but drawing me ever deeper, diving beyond sight and sound, the pressure of the abyss pounding in my ears. At last my fingertips, groping in the dark, found an opening to an underwater cavern in the bedrock of the sea floor. My lungs nearly burst as I drew myself up a dark passage into the cavern, which held sweet, life-giving air. Light shone everywhere, blinding my eyes, so accustomed to the black void of the ocean depths. And gold and jewels, glowing like fiery embers, lay in mounds as far as I could see in this underground cathedral. My heart leapt. These treasures will remove the suffering of countless people in need. I took all I could carry, hoping to find my way back to the surface and back down again for more. Well, as I left the cave, diving back into the black, water-filled tunnel and swimming for the surface, I was shocked to feel the gold and jewels crumbling, disintegrating, as they slipped back into the dark void that is their home. By the time I reached the shore, all my hands clutched was a bit of shiny dust. Collapsing on the beach, I wept. What have I to give away? The true existence of that hidden, radiant treasure called to me again and again, and yet every time I returned to the secret cave, trying to bring even one gem back, all that remained as I surfaced was dust. So I sit on the seashore babbling to passers-by about hidden treasures in a secret cave deep below the ocean waves. I know the way there and back, I tell them. But what good is it, they ask, if you can't do anything with it? Now, I no longer need to dive into the ocean to visit the secret cave. The longing that awoke within me so very long ago grew into a blazing fire. That light, just like the light in the cavern, fills the cave of my heart with a warm radiance, suffused with love for all. Ah, the fullness of self-luminous being, free from all wants and needs. I'm awash with unspeakable joy. Now that light fills my vision. All I see is that sublime light, embracing all with love. One day, we will all enter that cave, never more to return. Om Kalima. The cave of the heart. The cave of the heart is calling. The living flame of love that even St. John of the Cross spoke of. Inextinguishable, unquenchable, that flame. That's your true essence. Till we come to rest there, there'll always be a restlessness in the mind. So we need to even look at the restlessness of the mind with wisdom. We need to see that the restlessness of the mind, the discontent of the mind, is really, really longing for God, longing for the One. That is the only place where that absolute stillness, that absolute rest, and that boundless contentment is to be known. We do the practices to know that, to live that, to share that, to breathe that into the world. Another poem from Kabir. He wrote, "The flute of interior time is played whether we hear it or not. What we mean by love is its sound coming in. When love hits the farthest edge of excess, it reaches a wisdom. And the fragrance of that knowledge, it penetrates our thick bodies. It goes through walls. Its network of notes has a structure as if 1,000,000 suns were arranged inside. This tune has truth in it. Where else have you heard a sound like this? Where else? Within." What Kabir was speaking of. He loved the sound of mantra. He longed for mantra and the initiation of mantra from his guru for years and years before he finally was given that, and then gave it to everyone. Mantra is that unstruck sound. The heart chakra, the anahata chakra. Anahata means unstruck. It's where that divine flame of the living presence of the infinite then also throbs as the vibration of sound, the source of mantra. Then divine name. We call the name to call our own self, to become one with that. And so when we chant mantra, and in a few minutes we'll be chanting the great Maha Mantra that my Guru Muktananda gave me, that he received from his Guru Bari Baba Bhagavan Nityananda, and so on, back in the lineage, said to go all the way back to Lord Shiva, the auspicious one himself. Mantra, the throb of the infinite. And when we chant Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya means I bow to the auspicious one, the divine. However we might imagine it, the divine doesn't care. Imagine it as anything. Relate to it as anything. It is everything. It is anything. But we start out separate. And then through the practice and through the wisdom of approaching the practice with a sense of oneness, of cultivating, I am that, of Shivoham, Shivoham, I am Shiva, I am Shiva. So the Devi said, all is one, Shivoham, all is one, Shivoham, Shivoham. O poor mind, caught in constant becoming, desperately clinging to a fictional me, moment by moment, jumping so quickly to identify with a thought, a feeling, an action, in pursuit of likes and avoidance of dislikes. So utterly exhausting is this drama that by the end of the day you collapse, exhausted, only to fall to unconsciousness. But in that stillness, in that silence, you draw closer to the truth of who you are than you ever get to while in the waking state. Doing and becoming, running toward, running away, you swing through time bound to a pendulum as much a fiction as you. Freedom literally requires your undoing. Simply being in utter stillness, utter silence. Identify with anything, instant bondage. How to know you are nothing. You are everything. You are both. And you are neither, all simultaneously. Oh, dear mind, this is beyond you. the boundless grace of true knowing, illumined by the radiant one, whose light is pure love, happens in the total stillness and silence of sweet union with the divine. In that state, there aren't two, not even one. Dissolve in the divine embrace, for which there are no thoughts or words. Merge in the one, the way of love, the only way of true knowing. Love. The way of true knowing. Love. The way of true serving. Love. Dissolve into that, to know the infinite as your own self. So now we're going to chant for a few minutes, and we're going to be chanting Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. This throb of your own self. It's already humming within you. Mantras were first heard by the ancient sages and saints going deep within and hearing that. And they continue to be heard spontaneously by people today because that is the source. They arise from beyond the mind. We chant and use the sound forms, the spoken or sung forms, or even just the thought forms of Om Namah Shivaya to help the mind become more and more subtle, more and more quiet, so that at last it can drown in the ocean of the infinite one and all the love that is present there within you as your true nature. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya is a wave of that love, a sound form of that love. The infinite taking that form to reach out and say, here, come to know ourself again. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. A love song of the self, to the self, by the self. Om Namah Shivaya. So we'll chant for a few minutes and then sit in that stillness. Mata Kali Devi Ki Jai. Om Namah Shivaya. Nam
Kali Mahadevi ki jai.
So we end with this prayer that may all our practices truly benefit everyone, and may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. So we're coming closer to the complete end of this year. And this is our Anam Cara's 20th New Year's Eve. So we're in our 20th year. And so wonderful to be able to celebrate together with you and continuing to invoke the highest and walk each other back to the truth of who and what we are and live that into the world. We've been doing that now for 20 years and hope to continue to do that and in every way that we can, because it's really all about that love. And you know, it's said that the highest purpose of human birth is twofold, is to know the divine as our own self, the self of all, and to serve that, to serve the one that's become many. And that's what we're empowered to do by coming home to the self through the practices, by resting in that over and over again, until we know the truth that's already fully present, that we are drenched in that love. We live in that embrace. That's the truth. It's only the mind that can create that illusion of separation and then suffer so powerfully the pain that goes with that. Like suffering a terrible dream that keeps going and going. Time to wake up. Wake up to what's fully present here and now, and here and now. Always present here and now. The divine, the infinite, the one, your true self. So we're going to close with this blessing. May the new year open its arms to you as a lover too long separated from a beloved. May the wondrous possibilities unfolding through time bring your soul into communion with your source. May you know that what is past is truly gone, dissolved back into the Great Mother, persisting only in the mind, clinging to it. May Ma Kali dissolve all that binds you as easily as she dissolves every moment, every hour, every day, every year, disappearing forever into her mysterious black void. May wisdom infuse your heart and mind with compassion, clarity, and patience. May you see and feel the boundless love of the divine within everyone and everything at all times. May the inexhaustible wellspring of your heart's loving kindness flow through you unimpeded, nurturing all you encounter. May this year bring you closer to fully realizing the hidden majesty and glory illuminating the purpose of your life moment by moment. And may you peacefully walk the earth, effortlessly radiating the light and love that are your true nature. I bow to you. You are an embodiment of the infinite. You are the divine. And thank you for coming this evening and sharing your luminous presence. And may the next year be full of blessings. Namaste.